So nobody is talking about this, but the big dams on the Columbia River and the Snake River, run by the federal government here in the Pacific Northwest, are the focus of a new activist lawsuit that not only would be really bad for farming and the environment, but would actually be deadly to the very fish, the salmon, they say they're trying to protect. Why would they do this? Well, let me explain. I'm Dylan Honkoop with Save Family Farming. So what the activists are suing to get is to get the federal government to operate the dams differently. They say they need to spill more of the water over the dams, keep less water behind the dams. This would be really bad for farming because farming relies on that water to transport the food that they grow, that we grow here in the Pacific Northwest, out to the ports and to be able to sell it. It would really harm farming and create a lot more costs for that food we grow in our region. Also, it would be bad for hydropower in our region that all of us rely on, the green, carbon-free power that these facilities generate. But the activists say that the salmon need it. This is where things get really crazy, is that actually doing this would cause so much water to be spilling over these dams, it would force more gases into the water downstream, including nitrogen and other things that would end up being toxic to the very fish they say they're trying to protect. So why would they do this? Well, these groups are dead set on getting rid of these dams. They've convinced themselves that getting rid of the dams is the only way to save salmon. And even though that's not true, they've convinced themselves of this. So anything that they can do to try to justify getting rid of these dams, they think is a good thing, apparently. They've had the door closed on their recent efforts to try to have the dams breached. And so in the meantime, they're trying to make these dams look worse on paper. They want to show that they move less food, have less economic activity tied with them. They generate less power, so they can justify, so they can make the argument that these dams need to go because they aren't as valuable to our region as they used to be. It's not true, but it's part of the long game to get rid of these dams, which would harm farming and food here in the Pacific Northwest. It would harm green power and the environment, climate change efforts, and it would even harm the salmon that they say they're trying to protect. Do they miss the forest for the trees in this situation? That's the Safe Family Farming Hot Take of the Week.